What's going on, everybody? I'm here with Todd Faulk. Todd, you know what? Introduce yourself. Let everyone know who I'm talking to, what you do. He's got a great industry past and present right now. So, Todd, let everyone know who you are.
Oh, thank you. So my name is Todd Faulk. I am in Dallas, Texas. I'm a senior cosmetology educator, and I'm also a stylist. I still work behind the chair. So I actually had the opportunity of working with new upcoming talent that's going into our salons. And I'm still in a salon as well, so I can speak to that. And I think an interesting conversation today is about people coming out of school and how does that impact business of having someone right out of school in your business. And so it's a great conversation I look forward to having with you today.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I just got out of school.
Yeah, it's been a while for a lot of us, right?
It's funny when I have a team member that just gets out of school, when I have conversations with them, I have to remind myself what it was like when I first got out, and like the nerves you have, and how the industry's actually changed dramatically since when we got out as well.
Yeah.
And it's, it could be a scary thing. Like you go to school, and it's unlike college, right? In terms of, you have 4 years in college to mature. When you come out of high school, you go to hair school and you're not fully mature yet. Like you would when you're 21, 22. Some people are just 18. And there you go. You're in a salon in the real world trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's just a lot of things that, not just hair, that I think people need to understand. It's like discipline, your mindset, just your ability to communicate with people and your emotional intelligence. You don't have those skills yet. So one of the things I always like to tell people, especially at that level of experience in the industry, is work on your personal skills. Work on self-development, communication skills. Because I give a pie chart, and this probably works really well with your students too. I'm not sure if you use an example like this. In the industry, you have a picture pie chart: 50% talent, 50% personality. At any given time in your career, you have to make sure that pie chart is 100% filled. If at one point in time you're 30% personality, and then you just got out of school, so you're probably 30 or 20% skill, that's half the pie chart. But if you just got out, you don't have the experience yet, and the talent or the skill I should say, everyone has talent, you just got to find it. They can work on the personality, their likability, and you could be super friendly, build your customer service, go above and beyond. You will build a big career just by doing that. And by the time your skills catch up, you already have the personality. You're gonna be a superstar in the industry.
Yeah. I agree with you, Nick. I agree. I totally agree with you. We call it soft skills. So the main thing we let the students know, it's like you're working on your soft skills. Don't expect to be, this rock star hairstylist. Get your soft skills down. And while you're getting your soft skills down, you're building your brand. So you're talking about how cosmetology school is different from when we were in school. It was like 20 something years ago for me. If that says how old I am now. And I have to think about it when I'm working with our learners. Oftentimes myself and my coworkers will say, when I was in school, this didn't happen. When I was in school, this didn't happen. Well, it's a whole different world now for students and for young people for being in school. And so the focus now is I work at the Aveda Arts Sciences Institute in Dallas. And one of our biggest things here is consultations. So we work really, really, really hard on consultations and how to really land that consultation. And so by building your soft skills, understanding your soft skills, it goes to like what you were saying, to your people skills. And if you can really land that consultation down to ask, what challenges do you have? What product do you wear in your hair? What do you want to see? Because oftentimes, you do all this practice in the classroom, you finally get to what we call the clinic floor. You're working on actual guests now, not mannequins. And now it's like, ooh, this person talks back. Oh, this person has a personality. But then when you have that guest, all of a sudden you're like a deer in the headlights. You just go blank. You're like, okay, she says she wants a haircut. I'll hope it's one of the 7 haircuts I learned. Is it square? Is it round? Is it triangle? And so the main thing we work with at the Aveda Institute is how to land your consultation. And if you can get through a consultation that asks all your questions, and we know in the salon, a lot of your redos, a lot of your guests that don't come back, it wasn't necessarily that you're not a good hairstylist. It was the communication. You didn't communicate of what they want and what they're looking for.
100%.
And so therefore they just don't come back. It's not your price point. It's not whatever, it's the communication. So if
Yes.
we can get the communication part down, that hopefully we've made them, set up for success for you guys in the salon world.
Do you find, because you've been in this a long time now, do you find that the younger generation is at a disadvantage for the person one-on-one communication because of how they've been brought up with text messaging and like Snapchat, and the way they communicate is on a completely different plane than we grew up communicating?
Yeah, it totally is. The communication is different. It's, we have, I think before we had anxiety, we had stress, we had all the things, we just didn't have a label for them. Now we have departments for it, so we understand a little bit more. Yeah, totally. I mean, we even now as adults, we're used to texting people. I don't remember the last time I spoke to my mother on the phone. I text all the time.
Yeah.
So that breaks down to understanding the tone, because a lot of times, we understand you retain probably 7% of what someone says. I think it's 37% of the tone and 55% of the body language.
Body language, yeah.
Yeah. And so there's the tone and the body language you don't get through text messaging and whatever. And a lot of times that's what we get, when somebody doesn't like something, it's that kind of look that they have on their face, or that kind of body language. And you realize, oh, she doesn't like the fringe. Oh, she's not liking this. You can kind of understand body language. That's something as a younger person, the new generation, we don't pick up on. And that's the part we're working on as well.
That's something that is such a crucial skill, the body language. Because people, and this probably happened to you, happens to everyone. You walk into a store, right? And someone asks you, do you need help?
Yeah.
And first response usually is, no, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
No, but you do need help. And it's like, why are we so trained to say no or not speak our mind? And then after a little bit, like, you go to the person, oh, by the way, I do have a question. Does this come in a large or a red or whatever? And so when we need to understand, when you ask clients, you're trying to bring up the conversation with clients of what they want with their hair, if they're unsure, it might take 2 or 3 questions of the same question in a different way for them to feel comfortable telling you that's what they want. They kind of know what they want, but they just don't want to seem pushy. They don't want to verbalize it. And then they wind up not getting something they want. Had you asked a question maybe 2 or 3 more times in a different way, it would have opened them up. So you have to take a few minutes just warming them up before you get into the consultation. I bartended for a long period of time in my life, so I was able to learn body language. I worked in nightclubs, sports bars, everything. So immediately I know who's almost done with the drink. I know who's arguing with their girlfriend. And just by cues of being in a fast-paced environment, it was like my brain has been trained and programmed to understand what people need based on the tilt of their head, the shrug of the shoulder. And that's what I think I really took into hairstyling, and I really was able to apply it. And I could have a 2-minute conversation and get the information I need just by, when I ask them a question, the hesitance they have or the shoulder shrug that, oh, maybe they don't want that. And then, or they don't understand that. Like some people don't understand the difference between warm hair and cool hair.
Oh yeah. Color theory. That's a whole nother Zoom call here. But Nick, the interesting thing is I was talking with students earlier today, and we're talking about consultations, and we're talking about having a picture image. And oftentimes students, they feel like, oh, I have to have this picture image. When I get into a salon, I'm not going to rely on pictures anymore. And I tell them, I said, no, a picture confirmation helps out so much.
I can hear you, don't worry. I'm gonna
look a picture confirmation works out so well, because your idea of red, their idea of red could be 2 different things. And so if you have a picture confirmation, the picture itself speaks for you. So that's your visual learners. And I even say, even myself, I'm still in a salon. And if I have a new guest that comes in and I'm not really quite sure what they're wanting, I'm going to find a photo and like, okay, what about these reds? What about these blondes? So therefore you can get a picture image. So that kind of helps with that as well.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, a great thing we're talking about, communication and body language is, I say, if you're in a consultation with someone, ask them, what do you not like about your hair? Or what challenges do you have? Because if you say, what do you like? I don't know. What challenges do you have? And then watch their hands. If their hands go like this to their ends, really the main concern is this on the ends. If their hands are going like this, they're really concerned about the face frame. So their hands actually are pointing out the parts they don't like because they keep going back to that.
I like
Yeah. And same thing with asking, closing their questions, because people, especially if you ask your guys, so how often do you get your hair cut? They're like, whenever I need it. So change the conversation to, when is the last time you got your hair cut?
Mhm.
Oh, like 3-4 weeks ago. Now I have an understanding of how short it was and how short I need to go.
Yeah.
So those are questions and consultations that you can get the answer you're looking for.
By working backwards.
It's like you said, warm up the conversation a little bit.
Of course, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
As long as here's a great lesson that I've learned from like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Napoleon Hill, his Think and Grow Rich, a lot of mindset training, self-development training, and it's start with the outcome in mind. Start at the end first.
Yeah.
So what do you want from this visit? If you just can't get anywhere, what are you looking to achieve with this today? With your highlights today? What is it that you want to achieve? And when you start with the end in mind, especially with a corrective color, it's like, all right, cool. Her hair is botched up.
Yeah.
What are we going for today? Where we are now, and then fill in the gap and don't overcomplicate it. Because I've had experiences too with team members where they were doing a consultation for 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, no.
And I came over. I'm like, all right, cool. What are you looking to get? Like, what's your desired result if I had a magic wand?
Mhm.
And they show me, and they're really not too far off. Like a glaze and 5 highlights solve the problem.
Yeah.
But then the person's like, all right, I have to do highlights here. I got to wet balayage that. I got to tone this. I'm going to pick her all brown and one color for like, yo, just chill. Like, just think about where she wants to be and where is she at now and fill in the gap.
Yeah.
And if you do that, it solves you a lot of wasted time because you didn't need to do all that a lot of times. And when it comes to color, especially, if hopefully your students watch this, or you could take this to your color class, there's really only 4 aspects of color, corrective color, that you need to worry about. It's either you're too light, you're too dark, you're too warm, you're too cool.
Exactly.
That's it. And you have to make sure you understand that person understands what warm and cool is. Light and dark is easy.
Yeah.
And as long as you identify which one of those 4 they are or combination of, corrective color is simple.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. And that is the basic 4 questions you need to ask somebody is, are you too light right now? No, I think I'm cool. So are you too dark? No, all right. You're happy where you're at color shade wise, level wise. Are you too warm? Yeah, I don't like it. It's a little too warm. Looks too red to me. Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's cool you off. And then
absolutely. Yeah. And Nick, what I was thinking too is that was that saying, KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting when I talk to salon professionals who've been in it for a while. I have a tendency to kind of go back to the fundamentals of what we teach students. I think sometimes when we get out in the industry, we're trying to keep up with social media. We're trying to, really let ourselves shine. We're trying to overdo things. And sometimes we overdo it, we overcomplicate it, and we just made a mess. And if we could take it back to the fundamentals, that's really what they're looking for, And so keep it back to the fundamentals. And like you were saying, when you're in the salon, what's the one thing that in the salon you're going to look for is you got to pre-book your appointment. So think about what is the end goal. So where can I get you today? In order to get you here, I need to see you back in 6 to 7 weeks. So go ahead and look at your appointment. So plan on making the next appointment before you even start. It's like plan on the second date before you even go on the first date.
Yeah.
So therefore they can already look at their schedule and say, okay, 6 to 7 weeks, I need to come back for this before because once a cape comes off, they're mentally gone. They're thinking about, I got to go pick up my kids. I got to go do whatever. You make it to the front desk and you try to show them product to buy. You try to make them pre-book. They're like, oh yeah, I'll call back. I'll get back. So make that next appointment before you even start, so they can look at their calendar 6 to 7 weeks. Oh, that's on a Wednesday at this time. Before they get to the front desk, boom, they've got their next appointment made. And just keep it simple, like you said, with your services.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of team members, but they just complicated their services. They added in like 14 variations of a highlight, balayage, foliage, this, that, tip out. I'm like, just do a highlighting service, a blonding service. Keep it simple. Like, it starts at this price, and then where it goes, we'll talk about it. But it got to the point with their menu. I'm like, listen, you create your own menu. Here's the logins. Figure it out, because this is just getting too complicated. I don't even know. I've been doing this 20, almost 30 years. I don't know what you're trying to achieve here. And it goes across the board. Keep it simple, stupid is for haircuts, especially too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can get lost in a haircut, I think, way worse than color.
Yes.
And it's like, at the end of it, now you're sweating, and the only way to fix it is to take out weight or cut it shorter. And now because the person's looking in the mirror and it's happening live. This is why people are so scared of cutting nowadays. It's right there. You're on display. You're on stage right now. And so keep it simple. That's why I do dry cutting.
Yeah.
I blow out the hair. I cut section by section as I need to cut. Everything is where I want it. And if I have to really get to a haircut, I will go back to the basics and section the hair out. If it's like a complicated haircut, and I will cut my sections exactly like I did in hair school. I separate maybe a little bit differently, but the nape, I have the right above the occipital bone, the two sides, and I have my rectangle up top, the horseshoe.
Yeah.
And I just get all the hair out of the way, and I focus on section by section. But
yeah,
that's very rare that I need to do that. Now it's like, let it down.
Yeah, I love dry cutting. And I think people that are listening to this and thinking about, what's new? Because people are always like, what's new? What, if you haven't taken a class or a workshop on dry cutting, I would highly suggest sign up with whatever company you go to. Dry cutting is completely, it's cutting still, but it's a whole different technique. And if you're looking for something new, if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, sign up for a dry cutting class, because it will definitely change the game for you in haircutting. I've been
dry cutting almost my whole career. It didn't make sense to me. And when clients, the first time I get a client in my chair, they always ask, why do you cutting dry? I'm like, well, here's a history lesson. Years ago, salons you would go to get your hair washed, because not everyone had running water in their home. And before there was electricity, not everyone had a blow dryer in their home either. So you would get set in row. I would wash you because it was filthy, because it was a week since last time you got it washed. Then I would set you in rollers, or I would cut it, then set you in rollers, put you either on a dryer, or you would just leave wet. That's how it was years ago. And so we learned our cosmetology. We never evolved. Like, there's a whole different, and this is not on schools. This is on state boards from the state side. Like, they want to see skateboard sets. They want to, like, the testing hasn't really evolved. But there's no need to cut someone's hair, wet anymore every single time. I know hairstylists that charge $250 and up for a haircut, that have the clients come in clean and dry and straight.
Yeah.
And they cut their hair like that. It's literally a 10-minute haircut, and they're charging $250.
Yeah. And you already have your guests prep the hair for you.
It's wild. And I have my assistants prep the hair for me. Like, I'll have them blow out the client for me. And then when we're done, we'll wand it, curl it, wave it, whatever we need to do. But my haircuts are always better dry. And the thing is, when you talk to your client, I'm like, Jennifer, I'm like, how do you wear your hair? Do you wear it wet? No, you wear it dry. So we'll cut it in the way you're going to wear it, so we can see exactly where it's falling. And once I switched to dry cutting, early in my career, it just made sense to me. I was never taught that way. Everything I've ever learned or taught myself in the career, it's just because it made more sense to me. And that's every aspect of my life. Hair's no different. And so when I get new team members who never learned it, I show them how to do a graduated bob, scissor over comb on dry hair, and it works for them.
It's interesting. If you think traditional cutting, I guess you could say, or what we see a lot, is that we cut it wet, we style it, and then we go back and refine it.
Yeah.
And the refining part is almost as much as the cutting. So you basically can cut it dry, go back, do your styling, and there's not really much refining left, because you've already cut it wet. You can see the growth pattern, you can see the curl pattern, you can see how it naturally lives in its natural state. Yeah.
Not off topic, but for people coming into school now, there's like a whole movement for a lived in color, right?
Oh yeah.
And I feel like everybody sees the waved hair, the balayage look, the lived in color. And I feel like hair cutting is kind of getting, the skill of it isn't as popular anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And do you see that trend happening in hair schools as well? Like they don't want to really get in the cutting?
Yeah, you kind of see both. There's a little bit of both. I mean, I was just on a Zoom this earlier today working with students, and once you go through a cut series, you're like, "Ooh, I'm horrible at cutting. I don't understand the math of it, the body position of it, the hand position. I don't." Then you get to color, and then they start getting into color theory, and you're like, "Okay, I don't understand color theory. I'm going to go back to." So it kind of goes back and forth. You see a bit of it, kind of, and we, in school, you're like, learn as much as you can learn in school. Once you get out, then you can specialize into different things. But yeah, I see a lot of people that they go to color because it's what you can see on Instagram and it's what's fun. And then people think of money and they go to like, oh, I can charge more because color costs more. I can charge more. But if you talk to people that cut are more of a cut specialist, they make just as much, if not more, than a colorist, because a lot of times they can get more clients in and there's no processing time. So you can get more clients in and you make more tip, more gratuity, and more retail sales and more pre-books. So I think it's a learned thing once you get into the salons, but I think a lot of people go to color because they're like, oh, this is fun. It's, my Instagram, I can really work that because you can see all the Instagram. And plus then I can make more money because I can charge more with coloring. I thought that earlier on. And you realize in cutting, you can make just as much of more.
Or look at Ted Gibson. I think it's like $1,600 a hahaircut right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't think, there's this thing. I think of like, you talk to students about what people can or cannot afford. When you're in your consultation and you're upselling, a gloss treatment or a scalp treatment, which is huge now. And then you're retailing to them. There's this thing is called shopping out of someone else's pocket.
Yeah.
You think to yourself, you're like, ooh, these prices are high. I can't afford it. They're high. But people that are coming to high performing salons are coming because they want that service. If you don't offer them the glaze treatments, the scalp treatments, if you don't educate them about the product, they kind of feel like they got gypped, because they're coming to you as an expert. And so I had to learn, don't shop out of someone else's wallet. Just because you can't afford it, because whatever, most of your guests know they're coming to a high performing salon and that's what they're expecting. And so it's hard for some of us to get to that next level when we keep shopping out of our own pocket. Shop out of your client's pocket,
It's funny. We also get conditioned to it, like, because we get glosses at the salon, like whenever we need them. We're there. Like we don't pay for hair services really.
Yeah.
So we don't understand how someone could pay X amount of dollars because it's so easy for us to do. And like, you're going to pay $30 for a gloss. Well, there's formulation in it. You're applying it. The color costs money, the sink, the back bar, like all this stuff adds up. And it's nice to see now the respect that owners are getting back for all the people who left and went to a suite to realize like, holy shit, I don't bring home $3,000 a week when I book $3,000 a week.
Yeah.
Like your color, you don't have the front desk person. You're paying for your software a lot of times. You're paying for your color, your back bar, any education you have.
Yeah. The rent for your space.
And the rent every week.
Yeah. And then your own independent insurance, if you do have insurance. Yeah. There's And I think that's interesting of, that segment of segue going into stylists going into salons. And, this is the conversation I have all the time. And I love speaking to someone like yourself that works in salons. And people ask me all the time, they're like, I'm going for an interview. I'm nervous. What do I say in the interview? What do I ask in the interview? So I think it's be interesting. So if you could sit down and talk to a class of students graduating that are going out to the interview world, what suggestion would you have for people that are interviewing in salons?
All right, let's talk. Let's go back to have the outcome in mind, like have your end result. I would be like, hey, it's very important to have all your goals and your vision and your dreams, everything outlined in detail. And you need to express that to the salon owner or the manager, whoever it is. Like, hey, this is my big vision. This is where I want to be in 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, whatever, 10 years from now. How is this salon going to help me get there? How are we going to do it together? And then you're letting them know, hey, I'm thinking ahead. I'm here for the long haul. And does my vision align with your vision? And it's important that you also have your core values. Like, what drives you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it integrity, respect, teamwork, hard work, perseverance? There's a bunch of core values out there. Like, you can look up core values on the internet and get a core values worksheet and see which ones identify with you the most. And have like 5. Don't go crazy having like 100 of them. But have a strong 5 core values, and then have your own personal brand's mission statement. And then make sure you ask the salon, what's their mission statement? What's their brand purpose for the salon? And then what are their core values? And if they align with yours, then more than likely there's going to be synergy there, and you guys will be a good pair together.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it doesn't mean the salon's bad. It just means they're not aligned with your core values and what you have, what your vision is for your career.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's ever asked me that. Like, no one's ever come to me like, hey, this is my vision. It's always me as an owner telling them what's my vision. And which, as an owner of a salon, if any owners are watching this, your vision has to be big enough to fit every vision of every team member in your salon.
Yeah.
That's how it needs to be. And if it's that big, then they won't ever leave you because there's room for them there. But the second their vision outshines your vision or outgrows your vision, say goodbye to that person.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that the salon's vision is big enough to hold your vision in it. And I know a lot of people who go to hair school, now cosmetology school, whatever you want to call it. It's a lot of times it's because you didn't go to college, or it's like a cop out. They have that stigma around it. That may not be the case, but there's people in our industry, like the whole industry, that are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, if not millions of dollars a year, and not just owning salons, but you could do everything from online mentorship, coaching, developing a brand. You can be a celebrity stylist. You can own multiple salons. You can sell. I have an e-commerce business where I sell products online. You can do affiliate marketing. You can use your knowledge, build your personal brand. I would start documenting it in hair school right now, your whole journey. People start relating to you and start respecting you and looking at you as an authority. So you can start an affiliate program where, let's say, this brand XYZ now wants to bring you on as an ambassador, and you get a commission on every product that you sell through your link. Let's say you do a video on TikTok or YouTube, it goes viral. They sell 10,000 units of this shampoo. And your commission, let's do the math real quick. You sell 10,000 units of that shampoo. Okay, the shampoo is $20. That's $200,000. Your commission is 10%. You made 20 grand off that video.
Yeah.
You do that multiple times throughout your social media posting, your career, you have a nice extra income coming in. Now you're doing hair, you got affiliate marketing, you have a mentorship. Collectively, you're doing $500,000 a year.
Exactly.
And you have your freedom and your own time. I think that's much cooler than being a lawyer reading paperwork all day.
Yeah. So you're building your brand, and that's what we talk about all the time. You're building your brand. And I always say, whenever you're in cosmetology school, barber school, and each state's a little bit different. There's some states, but if you think about it, the hours you spend in probably a year in school is, if you add up all the time you spent in college, if you add up all the time you spent in a classroom, pretty much 4 years of college is squeezed into 1 year. And you have the ability to make pretty much the same out of, trade school as you do out of college. But I want to back up just a minute, because you said something that it was like a light bulb moment for me.
Yeah.
So we were talking about, as for the mission statement, I think that I say that all the time, because it gives you understanding of like their core values. And it might be that their core values are not really with you. The salon's cool. They've got a cool presence. I'm like, the location's good, but it might be the core value might not, so that might be a question to ask. But I like what you said of, have the vision in mind of where you want to go, and tell the owner, the manager, say, this is where I want to go, and this is my plan. So the thing about it is that a lot of people don't know what they want.
Yeah.
In life in general.
100%.
And the thing is, if you don't know what you want, then how is the next person supposed to know what you want? How is the universe supposed to know what you want? And once you get a clear understanding of where you want to go, it's much easier to get there.
Yeah,
So I think just think about, where do you want to go? What do you want?
Yes, you need to have that address in mind. So I'll give you one of the, this is a question I ask on a lot of interviews, and honestly with a lot of people I do coach. What if I were to tell you, Todd, that my friend Brian's going to give you $10 million? He's going to meet you in, what's a big city by you?
Dallas, Houston.
Cool.
So yeah,
my friend Brian's going to give you $10 million. He's going to meet you at Dave's Steakhouse in Dallas. You got to meet him by 5 o'clock on Friday. Okay. He's going to give you a bag full of cash, 10 million. It's not illegal money. He hit the lottery. He found you on Instagram. He loves everything you're doing. He wants to give it to you. What's the most crucial information you're going to want to know?
What's his location and what exactly, what's his story?
All right. He's meeting you. The story is great. Like, he's just a good guy. He's going to give you 10 million, 5 o'clock, Dave's Steakhouse, but you have to meet him there.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to get there?
Yeah, you find a way.
What information do you need?
The address.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right. The address. Now, without the address, what if you put in Dallas, Texas as your address?
Yeah.
Is it going to get you to Dave's Steakhouse? It's going to get you close to it, right? But you're going to have anxiety when it's 4:50. You're like, holy shit, I'm in Dallas. And like, what building is it? There's a lot of buildings.
Yeah. There's more than one Dave's Steakhouse.
Yeah. And then now you have anxiety. Now it's like, what if you have the address? It doesn't matter if there's a detour, a roadblock, traffic, you can navigate around it. You have the end destination in mind. So no matter what happens in life, obstacles, traffic, rerouting, you can always reroute back to where you need to be. But without that destination, and if you put a vague destination like Texas, that's even harder to get to. If you put Dallas, maybe a little easier, still hard to get to. You put that address, that exact address in your navigation, you will get there. It may not be exactly when you want to get there, but you leave early enough and you drive fast enough, you will get there. But the cool thing is, along the journey of, in life, as long as you have your end destination in mind, the universe or God, where you believe in, will help reroute you. But the cool thing is, along that journey, you might see a beautiful sunset. You might eat at another great restaurant. You might meet your wife or your husband or whoever. But as long as you're going in that direction, it doesn't matter what happens. You don't feel as stressed. You don't have the anxiety, because you know where you're going.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Yeah, and I use that a lot with people because it helps them think about a vague goal. Like, people are like, oh, I want to make more money this year. How much more? Here's $1. You made more money. I guess we're good, right? No, put an exact number to it and visualize it. And then, give gratitude to it. And that's how I built my business. I literally got out of here and got back in again. And I grew my business from 400 a week to 4,000 a week in less than 6 months. And by the end of that year, I was consistently booking over 5K a week. Easily, every single week. That wasn't even a problem. And before I started writing my goals down, before I started visualizing it, I wasn't making any money. And not to say I didn't work hard. You can't just magically pray and be like, oh, I want to make money. You have to work at it. But the thing was this: I visualized the goal. I started at 500 and I hit it. The actions I were taking every single day by reading this, I had my success statement and my goals. I read it every day. And I said to myself, what am I doing today to get me closer to that goal? And then I went to 750. Then I went to 1,000. And the actions that you take in life have to be connected to the goal that you want. Yeah. And if they're not, then you have to make some changes. And you can get anywhere you want to go as long as you're heading in the right direction. I can never get to Dallas to see you if if I keep on heading east.
No, you would never find it.
Yeah, no matter how much I prayed. So knowing where that address is, I can now head in that direction.
I like that. I'm going to repurpose that from you. Yeah,
please take it.
Yeah,
it's for the world to take.
Cool.
What
So question for you. So we discussed students out of school, what to look for. Let's flip it to the other side now and say salon owners, salon managers. Looking for new talent. There are some salons that love to hire right out of school and just build their business. There are some salons that are like, I really don't need people right out of school. I need people that already have a clientele that can bring the clientele into me. And then, of course, we understand having a salon full of clientele that's already built, bringing new people in, building them. So focusing the other way around of salons, focusing on the new talent and growing their talent. I think that's a part that we don't really talk a lot about. We talk about the student coming out, the salons, you know, people come to salons, they work, they leave, they work, they leave. But how to, like you said, maintain. If this is where I want to be, this is what I'm looking for. So therefore they have to obtain and be able to facilitate all these things that people want.
Yeah.
So maybe we could talk a bit about that part far as salon owner, salon manager.
Yeah, owners and managers, it works the same way. You need to understand, ask them what their core values are, let them know what yours are, let them know your mission statement, make sure they have a vision, make sure that they're, you know, obviously make sure they get to the appointment on time or their interview on time. There's a lot of like giveaways that they're irresponsible or not. But once they get there, you want to ask them questions. I go over the whole culture of my salon to make sure it fits with them. And I can tell from their body language, from the experience I have with consultations, if it does, if they're lying, if they're just putting an act on, you can tell the stuff. But that's too like psychological stuff. You want to make sure they know your core values and your mission statement. The next thing when it comes to training, as long as everything aligns, you've seen Karate Kid, right?
No, yeah.
Okay. I believe in a different way of training people. I learn by doing. That's just how I learn. I think everyone learns better that way.
We're hands-on.
Have a balance of a structured curriculum, right, that they need to learn. I typically like them. The first thing I like to teach is blowing out hair. Obviously, shampooing hair, yes. Taking color out, shampooing hair. But they need to style hair. Does two things. A, it helps them really get better at finishing hair, which helps them get better at creating looks that photograph better on Instagram to help build their business. And when they're a master of that, it makes the client feel comfortable and like they know what they're doing so they could trust them in the future to put color on for them or maybe cut them. But it lets me now pass my client off to that person so they can style or blow out my client. I cut them dry. Now, in that time, I would be blowing that person out. I would be now either applying color or cutting hair. What they learn by blowing out the client, because it's very painless, you can't really mess that up too bad. It teaches them how to interact physically with the client, how to have a conversation. They need to learn how to speak to people. And if you're just having them clean bowls, take people down, and sweep the floor, they're not going to be an asset to you. They have to start getting their hands in interacting with people. And as long as they're aligned with your core values, you have nothing to worry about. Then I also have them apply color with me personally. I like paint the fence and wax the floor. I have them doing things and put color on a certain way. I have them stand in a certain position. So now when I'm telling them about a haircut, the next week, teaching them a haircut, but remember I told you to stand like that? That's why. Over direct the hair. Can't do it that way, right? Just put your right foot forward and they're like, oh, wow, why do I do that? And because you can't give a hole over here if you're standing on this side of the shoulder. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So I'm very proactive when it comes to how do I teach this person a skill that would eliminate the amount of risk involved with that thing, haircutting, highlighting, or whatever. And so as they're learning from me, they don't really grasp the concept yet. But when we have the conversation in 6 months to a year from now, I'm like, you know, Brianna is one of my new stylists that came up through the ranks. I'm like, Bri, how amazing was that highlight? She's like, well, it came out exactly. I don't know how it came out so good. I'm like, because you did things from muscle memory. Like you just now know how to do it. Now I'm going to tell you why. Because if I told you why then, you'd be lost. Now here's the reason why. You did things this way. And it's nice to see my stylists, especially now because I'm getting away from behind the chair, implement the things that they did with me next to me, like one-on-one applying color, but also I make them watch me. So when I ask them, hey, check so-and-so, is her color ready yet? She's like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, check it. Are her highlights ready? She's like, all right, I looked at him. I think it's ready. I'm like, all right, take her down. No, you got to check her. No, I'm not going to check her. You told me they were good. If they're not, well, then we have a little explaining to do, don't we? And I know they're good because I do her hair for the last 20 years. I know exactly how it's lift, but I let them think they made the call. And now they're
accountability.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, do you think she needs 5 more minutes or do you think she's good? She's like, well, I think the back could come down now. And I think we can leave the sides on longer. I'm like, all right, do it. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Because that's what I would do. And they see me do it. So my whole business is revolved around not micromanaging. I don't want to. I hate micromanaging. I want them to have their own vision, their own brand. And I want them to spread their wings and fly. Like I have clients now that like their hair better with some of my team members. And it's a compliment to me because I helped to get them there.
So I like this conversation.
Yeah.
Because is what I'm hearing is, so what we hear from salon owners is that the new hires want education. They want education. They're asking for education. So they put education together. But then what salon owners say is, well, when it comes time for education, the stylists just complain because they have to come to education day. Like they complain because, oh, I got to go to this class. I got to find models. I got to find this, you know.
Yeah.
So salon owners was like, well, I'm working on putting education together and we're paying people and we're traveling people to go get training and coming back. But then everybody complains that they have to take class. So what I'm hearing with you saying is that, yeah, there is class time, but it's also learning in the moment from the stylist. So the education is learning in the moment from the stylist while you're working.
Yep.
Versus, okay, here's Wednesday's workshop. You got to bring your models in and we're going to do X, Y, Z. They feel like they're back in hair school, right? Yep. Which there's value to that.
Of course there is, yeah.
So maybe that's something for salon owners to think of, is that, yeah, they're looking for education because they want continued education, but they don't want it in a form of like hair school education. Yeah. So maybe put it in the moment education, hands-on with the stylist as you're going, so they feel like they're part of the system and they're learning at the same time.
Yeah, if you're a busy stylist and an owner and your salon's rocking clients out like every hour, half hour, why isn't that assistant watching everything you're doing, asking questions and involved in the whole process? There's so much being taught right there. There's so many times I wish I had a camera on me when I'm doing someone's hair. Like, wow, this would be a great Instagram reel. And I'm like, wow. So now I set the camera up. I just set it up and I catch it. But I always call my team over, like the newer team. I'm like, hey, come here for a second. With this client, here's why I microweave here. And this is why I place my foil here. And it's because of like the shape or whatever it is, like whatever the thing is I'm trying to teach. I give them context throughout the whole day. And then I'm like, listen, if you watch me do anything and you don't know why, please put it in your phone. Just write it down. And I had a girl, a team member of mine, Nicole, and she might be watching this, might not. Literally, she would have a notebook full of questions for me, and we'd meet once a week. She was my first hire when I left my partnership and opened a salon by myself. It was just me in here, and I had, I just do, but it was really just me, and it was me, Nicole, and it would be like, mornings with Nick and Nicole, and she would have 30 questions. Well, why did you use a 9N on Karen, but you used a 9P and 9N on Deneen, and you used a 7C, but you told me to take it down 5 minutes, but you told me you needed 5 more minutes and use a conditioning treatment. And so she was asking all these questions. I'm like, listen, to be honest with you, like we ran out of 9N, so I had to use the 9P. And then I tell her why I did it. And like, I had the issue and how I overcame it. And she's like, why the conditioning treatment? And why'd you say leave it on for an extra 5 minutes? I'm like, because I was running behind on my haircut. So I told you to leave it on for 5 minutes, like, because your hair felt a little dry. And she's like, I'm like, did it feel a little dry? I'm like, she's like, I don't know, it was wet. I'm like, well, it makes her feel like we care about her hair more, Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with leaving a conditioner on for extra 5 minutes to let her at least do something with her hair to give it more nourishment instead of sitting here with a wet head waiting for me to finish my haircut. And so now I've seen her, it's now 2 years, going on 3. She had 4 clients in the salon the other day. And she's boom, 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 applying color, talking, and she's doing what I did. And she's now able to maximize the 2 hours by having 4 or 5 people in there rather than doing one person for an hour or 2. Yeah. And go ahead.
It gets me thinking about, so oftentimes like a stylist is busy and they're to that point that they need an assistant to help shampoo and help blow dry to get people in. And is what you hear a lot of times a busy stylist say is, I need an assistant. I can get more people in if I have an assistant. And their thought is, as someone that could shampoo, blow dry, but then those assistants always leave. Either they move on to being a stylist or they just quit. And they're constantly looking for an assistant. You can't ever keep an assistant. So it goes back to, if you could train, like, and make their education in-person education, the assistant actually might stay. And then they'll become a junior stylist. And then when you raise your prices, people might not be able to afford you, but then you can refer them to the junior stylist and they still stay with the business, and they feel like they've been taken care of.
100%.
And and so therefore you're growing the business. But it goes back to maybe sometimes the reason stylists don't feel comfortable teaching in the moment is because sometimes, you know how we have a tendency to be selfish, and we want this to be, it's my work. I don't want someone else help applying and help doing it because it's my work. Sometimes you need to step away from it's our work.
Yeah.
It's still my work, but part of my thing is growing this person so they can still help assist me. And therefore we're growing together. But we have a tendency to have that mentality of, but it's mine. You're the assistant and it's mine.
I'll talk to you about that thought process for a second before we wrap this up. I got 3 questions to ask every team member, every client, every coaching client, everyone. What experiences do you want to have in life? It's question 1. What do you want to live in Thailand? Do you want to live in France? Do you want to own a restaurant? Do you want to coach soccer? I don't care what are your experiences. When you're looking back on life, what memories do you wish you had created? Number 2, what kind of person do you need to become to make those experiences possible? And number 3, how are you going to help other people make their experiences possible too?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're selfish with that, you're never going to get the true fulfillment, because you learn so much by teaching someone that you're doing yourself a disservice by not explaining what you're doing. And if anyone's scared of someone taking their techniques, there's a million chefs out there like Emerald, Bobby Flay. They all have cookbooks. How many people open a restaurant next to their restaurant using their cookbook and competed with them? It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
It just won't work. No one can recreate you, right? I have clients of mine that I passed on now, or in the beginning of passing them on. They're like, well, the color is different. I'm like, Diane, it's a 5N. It's the same color I mix. In fact, Jen mixed your color every time for the last 2 years. It's the same person mixing it. I'm just putting it on, or she's putting it on. Trust me, it's in your head. And it really was. She's like, well, it's not as shiny. I'm like, Diane, it's the same color. And then, we laugh and joke around. It's just one of those kind of clients. But you have to give it away. Nobody is, these are not secrets. It's not like the cure to cancer, right? It's like, you would want to give that away anyway, but it's nothing special. Like, anything you're doing is not special. I promise you that. If you're an owner or a stylist holding your secrets back, you're just hurting yourself, because that person that you're holding the secrets back from, they may leave you, right? They might leave your salon if you give them all the information. But what if they stay? What if they stay and represent your brand with the half-assed knowledge you're giving them? You want them
and then train the next.
Yes.
And then train the next. And then that's how you have that jamming salon that's crazy busy.
Yeah. You want legacy. You want, like, people, when they come to work here, like, the word in the community is go to that salon. Like, I'm not a traditional commission salon. Like, I do things way different. I give up to 70% commission in my location. Like, I don't always have a front desk. I create independent stylists. So sometimes you're booking your own clients, but I pay you 60 to 70% commission. Like, I make sure, like, this is how I would have wanted to work in a salon, because I would much rather shampoo my own clients and have to deal with not having assistants sometimes to make that money. Now, we do have assistants, we do have a front desk person, but I tell you, hey, create your own Instagram, create your own Google My Business page. So you have your own brand. People Google best hair salon in Fairfield. Why not have, Hair by Jen up there? And then Jen at the Warehouse Salon. You could create a listing like that. You could do it in suites. So now you're creating your own brand. You want a website? Let me teach you how to do it. And my friends who own salons, like, what if they leave? If they leave, they're going to leave anyway. But at least they're going to leave and say good things about us. And we're the one who drove them there. We're the one who got them to be successful. And so for a new stylist who fits in our mold or our core values and culture, they're going to want to work for us, because we catapult people to that level. But I make it so enticing for them to stay financially. Very few people leave. And if they do, they want to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this industry. And before we wrap up again, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, and this is why I changed my whole business model around. He asked 3 questions. And I don't know if this is copyrighted, it shouldn't be, but what business do you think you're in? What business are you really in? And what business do you need to be in? And when he said that in the seminar, it was business mastery. So take it if you're in business. I sat and reflected on it. I have an e-commerce store. I have a coaching business. I have the salon. So like, I think I'm a salon owner, but am I really? I'm a coach. Like I'm a mentor. So how can I need to create my team and lead them and be a mentor to them. And then e-commerce, I can get them involved in that business. I sell products online. I have affiliate marketing. Why not teach them how to be better affiliates? So now my whole team can sell products through their TikTok, their YouTube, and their Instagram, whatever, drive traffic to the salon and get commission on it as an affiliate. I'm teaching them how to create multiple streams of income. And I'm doing that by being a leader, not an owner. And that's the kind of business that I've needed to be in. That's the business that I wanted. And so I completely changed it's been about 6 months now since I went to that seminar. And my trajectory is I'm going to probably double my net worth by next year after taking that seminar, with the thought process of how can I serve people? How can I help people? And my clients aren't the ones I cut. My clients are my team. So as an owner, it's not the clients that walk in the door of your salon. Yes, they're your clients, but your team, they're your clients. If you treat them with the best customer service and you treat them like you make raving fans out of them, so they love your salon, they love the team, they love you, they're never going anywhere. Just like the client you cut. Create raving fans. And a lot of times owners don't know that. They don't realize, you're making money on that person. That person's giving you money, a commission off them. If you're a commission salon or a rental salon, they're paying you rent. That's your client. How can you make them a raving fan so they don't leave? Do that, and your business will blow up.
Yeah, I love that concept. The concept of treat your staff as if they are your client, because they are your client.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a different mindset of that, because we can go on for a bit longer, but
my friends, they vent to me about their staff all the time. I'm like, dude, what's the problem? Let her do it. Wow. I'm like, dude, who cares? If she doesn't want to work Saturdays, does it really matter? Are you going to cause a rift? The girl books $5,000 a week. Let her not work Saturdays. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You know?
The new stylist is trying to build a book would want that Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's established already. That leaves room for the assistant to have a day to take clients on. And it's just funny. He's very old school, my friend who does that. And we went to the same salon together. Everyone's old school. Like there's a lot of people that still have the old school mentality. Newsflash, it's a way different world. I mean, it's
a whole different world.
Yeah. So it's time to evolve as owners. Todd, it was awesome chatting with you, man. This is actually great.
Yeah, I love this conversation.
Yeah, we got to do it again. We definitely have to do it again. So
and I hope this helps salon owners, people in schools, and I hope this definitely talking about giving back. Our purpose here is giving back to them as well. So
so where can people find you on Instagram? Because you always post. You have your car talks, which I love, by the way. So it's Spiritual Gangster 75. So I have a Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday. People send me messages of what we want to talk about. I make a conversation out of that. So Wellness Wednesday, Spiritual Gangster 75 on Instagram. So you can find me. If you have any questions, just DM me and we'll go from there. Yeah, Todd, thanks. I would love chat. We're definitely going to do it again. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Have fun with the kids at school. Hopefully the weather clears up for you too.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.